Depression is a very real thing. But oftentimes, when you are a Christian or in the church, you sometimes feel like you should be able to pray depression away, that God should be able to just touch you and it goes away. And the truth is that God can do just that. But sometimes, like, you have to actually acknowledge those feelings that you're having so that you can get to the root of a thing. And so, in today's episode of the You, Me, and Jesus podcast, I want to talk about, can a Christian actually be depressed? So, welcome back to the show today. I know we're having some hard, deep conversations because last week we talked about anxiety, but I feel like I want to talk about some of these hard conversations is because I don't think that people are really getting the help that they need. And I think it's because we're not really talking about it. We're not really being given the space to talk about it. And so I want to do that. So one of the first things that I did was, because obviously I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not any of those things. And I always like to use AI because the AI gives us a little bit more than what I can give, but it also gives us kind of like an unbiased opinion in terms of it's not me, it's AI. So I went to AI and I asked AI a question. I said, how does a person become depressed? Here's what I got. Depression arises from a complex interplay of factors, not a single cause. Genetics, brain chemistry, life events, and personality traits all contribute to the development of depressive disorders. Some individuals may be more genetically predisposed, while others may experience depression triggered by specific life events or health conditions. Okay. So again, you've got biological factors, you've got hormonal changes, you've got psychological factors, you've got environmental factors, medical conditions, so on and so on and so on. And so anytime I think about someone dealing with a mental health condition, I feel like, because I've been a Christian pretty much my whole life, and I think about, like, in the church, what do I normally hear, or what have I heard over the years? And what I have heard is that they don't really talk about some of these conditions, or when it's being talked about, you talk about it, what it is, how people are feeling, and then they call people to the altar for healing of those conditions. And I love a good altar call. I love a good altar call. Jesus, touch us, heal us, me, and all the things. Love a good altar call. But I also acknowledge that sometimes, you don't get that healing that you want at the altar. Sometimes God just doesn't heal at the altar. How do I know? Because I've been to the altar plenty of times, okay? And I am an altar ministry worker. So people come up to me, prayer, and I pray and all that, and not all the time people get healed, at the altar. Okay. So I've been on the other side of like wanting the healing, and I've been on the side of praying for healing, and some things is not manifesting. Right. And so when I think about depression, I think about the fact that some people are going to be supernaturally healed, and some people get an opportunity to acknowledge how they feel and get to the root of things and actually begin to get some help. Okay. Now, do I think that a person can become possessed by a demonic force, which causes them to feel depressed? Yes. But do I also think that life events and this could happen and this could happen and this could happen, and there's genetics where it's like a genetic thing? Do I think that all that can happen? I sure do. Right? How do I know that? Because there's some conditions in my family that have come down, 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 down. And I have my own set of things where I am like, Jesus, fix it, but also see my psychiatrist. Okay. Listen, while I'm filming this, I just had my psychiatrist text me because I was like, hey, I want to have a session. Okay. And so I think that people can be Christians and be dealing with depression, and I think that there is help that is available. But I wanted to film this episode because I want to say to you, if you are listening to this, if you are watching this and you love Jesus and you are depressed, it's important to know that he can supernaturally heal you. Okay. Jesus can supernaturally heal you, and you can go see a psychologist. You can go see a therapist. You can go see a psychiatrist, because sometimes Jesus is not going to heal you supernaturally. Sometimes you have got to go through the process. Okay. You've got to go through a professional process. Okay. I have asked Jesus to help me be 145 pounds for years. Jesus ain't ever took away the fat from my body, but he has told me how to eat better from my body. Okay. He has told me that I got to work out and I got to do this and I got to do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm being funny, but I'm being very serious. Okay. And so if you're Christian and you're battling depression and you feel sadness and you can't seem to get under that sadness, I need you to understand that you are not alone. I have my own mood condition, my own, disorders. And for years I've been praying, God, help me with this, help me with that, help me with this. And he is like, I am helping you go to therapy. I am helping you do this. I am helping you do that. Just the other day, I felt like he wanted me to book a session with my regular Christian counselor. She's also like a healing minister type, like a mentor type. And right before our session, I had this thought, I wonder if I should tell AI what I've been dealing with all these years. I wonder if I should tell AI what my diagnosis is and what some of my previous therapists have said versus how I actually feel. So I did. I told Claude.ai, I was like, this is the conditions that, my therapist has told me that I'm probably dealing with. Here's how I feel. Here's how this shows up. What do you think? My Lord from heaven. When I got that output, I about fell out of my seat. It read me to a T. Read me for a filth. I took that and I sent it to a friend who I know that deals with some of the conditions that I have. And she was like in shock of how she could see me, but how she could see herself. Okay. So then the next day, I told my therapist, and then the next day I started talking to AI a little bit more about it. And so I was like, I'm going to copy paste and send her that too. And she started saying, like, all of these things that I always think about me, she started saying the exact same things that I feel and think. And I was just like, oh, I'm not by myself. And now, obviously, this validated my feelings, right? 2, this bringing me closer with this person. But 3, it's making me go, okay, I get to bring this to Jesus and I get to bring it to my Christian therapist and I get to bring it to my psychiatrist so we can help me. Okay, so we can help me. So I'm not telling you to go to AI and diagnose yourself. Do not do that. I have gone to therapists who have diagnosed me. Okay, psychologists, they have said, you deal with this, this, and this. Okay, and so then I just went to AI to get more understanding in a simpler term that I could feed it more information about me. And then it gave me more clarity on what they had already told me. Okay. Do not use AI to diagnose you. It will tell you all type of stuff and you'd be like, oh my God. And you ain't even dealing with that. Okay. So make sure you see a therapist. Okay. So in our What Would Jesus Do segment, what would Jesus do if somebody was depressed? I feel like Jesus would go to that person just like he does to me, and he would have a conversation with that person, and he would ask the person how they feeling, what are they thinking. He would do all these different things and just listen to them, ask questions and listen to them. Do I think Jesus would supernaturally heal that person? Yes, maybe. Right? I think that he has the ability and he might supernaturally heal that person. But I also think that he would begin to give that person tools for navigating what they're dealing with, navigating those feelings. Okay. So that they have tools in their tool belt in case something happens again. Because it's one thing for Jesus to heal somebody supernaturally, and it's another thing for us to keep our healing. For example, if God took away 80 pounds off my body right now, I'd be a happy camper and a super skinny girl. Right? But I could easily become the same size that I am today if I don't change my habits. I got to get the tools to be able to change my habits. Okay. And so when it comes to, it's like, for example, I can go to the makeup artist and she can do my face. It looks amazing, but I can't recreate it because I don't have the tools to know how to recreate my makeup look. So I think Jesus would heal them, but he would also begin to give them supernatural tools, but he would also comfort them and he would encourage them to go and see someone. He would provide provision for them to go and see someone so that they have someone to talk to, right? Because it's one thing to be supernaturally healed and it's another thing to kind of talk through feelings and emotions, because life is beautifully awful. Okay. Life is beautifully awful. And what I mean by that is that it's beautiful, but some aspects of life are just awful, are just painful. You know what I mean? And it's a part of life. Like someone passing away is a part of life, but it's painful. You had a beautiful time with this person and then it became very painful. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to get the help that we need in those painful times or those unexpected times, like we all went through a collective trauma with COVID, and that was a lot. And I don't think a lot of people are really dealing with what the ramifications in here of what happened to them during COVID. And Jesus gave us this opportunity to go through the journey of healing and getting tools and things of that nature. So again, if you're someone and you're Christian and you're battling depression or you just feel sad and you can't seem to get out of that sadness, it's time to go seek some help. Go and get prayer, but also go and seek some help. You might need medication. Like I've got a nerve condition. And I was asking for healing and praying for healing for years. And he healed me through getting me health insurance. And my doctor saying, I think you have a nerve condition. Like I went to the doctor and they kept saying all these different things. And then I kept telling them, no, something's wrong. It's not this, it's not that. And finally one day I heard, you have a nerve condition. And I didn't tell the doctor, but I sat there and was like, no, can you try something else? And then he did this little exercise where I had to like push his hands. And he said, I think you have a nerve condition. Bam. And so then I got to get on some medicines and all this type of stuff to help me with this nerve condition. And now I feel way better than I was feeling all those years ago because we have been on this journey of healing. Okay. So I hope that you got validated here. I hope you feel like you could be brave and go and see someone, that you're not crazy. Nothing's wrong with you, but you get to go on a journey just like me and all the rest of us. Okay. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. Comment here on this video and let me know. I would love to support you.